$1 million operating budget anyway. All of this is, are we going to take the gamble with the taxpayers' money and do this? I'm for rebuilding the courthouse. I'm not for necessarily putting taxpayers' funds in it unless they approve it. I'm for the Historical Society, as passionate as they are, going out and raising funds and doing it. And then if people of Karnes County want to vote on a bond election or referendum to do it, I'm all for it. Majority, that's what the majority is about. That's what democracy is about. Commissioners, get out and ask the people if they would want to spend $15 to $18 million on this upcoming courthouse. And again, in 2010, we had the 12th to 15th highest tax rate in the state of Texas. That's one reason I ran for county judge. Are there ways to cut the budget? Yeah, there are ways to cut the budget. One of the Alger Kendall's prime projects was he got a grant to do a recycling center. Have you seen it? $65,000 in grant, $65,000 taxpayers' money. That's not a whole lot of money. But we spend $35,000 a year maintaining that system. It's never going to make any money. I don't recall the county being in the process of picking up trash for people. I don't know what we're even in the business for. Privatize it. That $35,000 will almost put another deputy on the street. But the reason he did it was to say, look what I did for Karnes County. Huh? The issue? Oh, okay. Well, I am dealing with the issue. I'm dealing with money that's spent that's wrong. But fiscal responsibility.
Stop, Billy. I mean, I'm sorry. That's citizens getting heard, Mr. Block. I'm sorry.
We also have, we have an annex. Granted, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's safe. We talk about safety of people in the courthouse. You have enough room in that annex if you use other facilities. We have people in the tax collector's office. I think they'd like to stay right where they're at. We have people in the appraisal office who probably like to stay right where they're at. They don't want to be forced into the offices. We're going to bring juveniles into the courthouse to check in for probation. Well, they're going to be around criminals that are checking for probation. Do we need those people in the courthouse? I think if you balance your room, use it judiciously, that you can make that annex work. Think of your fiduciary responsibility, or responsibility to the voters. I presented a cloud of doubt. Judge Pavelic said they didn't. He took core samples of the courthouse and pulled out mud and rotted boards. I don't think Fisher and Heck did any core samples at all. They sure put you with a big enough bill. Delay or cancel the contract. That $600,000 is not going anywhere right now. We don't have to do this right away. Try to avert your easement. What do you think, Bob? Have you looked at it? I guess it depends on. There's also one thing that makes a lot of differences in politics is political pressure from the representatives and senators, and I think we can do some of that too if we have to. Don't spend millions of dollars of our taxpayers' money for a monument. And that's basically all it's going to be. What would it be, about 8 people in the courthouse? 7? 7? What's that, $1.2, $1.5 million per person?
How many people attend
What's
the
this
court
based on?
cases? How many people come in and attend the court cases?
I don't know, but I'd like to go ahead and finish this up.
Okay, so let's everybody just, Mr. Utley, you finish and we'll,
Okay.
you know, we listened to, Mrs. Fleming was on the agenda, we listened.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm just trying to be fair here. Whether we like what he has to say or whether you like what he has to say, this is not, it's on the agenda.
Y'all presented Miss Welder, who's not even a citizen of this community, brought her in to talk, you know, thought was citizen of the community. We don't know the total cost of the courthouse. And we don't know how much that $300,000, what it would do for our community. Yes, we are going to get an oil boom. We're going to get some windfall from that. Our county roads are in terrible condition. We need more police officers in the field with the influx of new people we have. We need to pay those police officers better. That's things we need. We need to cut taxes, people that can't pay their taxes. We shouldn't be the 12th highest in the state of Texas when we have a natural gas and oil boom going. Do those things first, and then we can look at the other things. I said roads, police, and probably along the way we're going to need a new jail, aren't we? 34 million? No?
More than that. Closer to 5.
5 million? And that's coming. We don't have the funds to do all these things. Let's do the important ones first. I would rather incarcerate our criminals than work on the courthouse right now. I'm going to introduce, to kind of help me on this, Betty Yarder, who many of you do know or don't know, like her or not. Some of you don't like me, that's okay. Some of y'all I don't like.
Let's be nice. Let's be nice. Courtroom decorum, let's be nice. We're in a courtroom, let's act like it's a courtroom.
Betty, the Kendall Court was fixing to sign a oil lease. Betty's done a lot of things for this community. She fixed to sign an oil lease without putting it out on bid. She confronted the court, had them put it out on bid. They made $200,000 more by her having them put it out on bid than if they'd just signed the contract. The court did not obey the law in a lot of ways. We have commissioners setting that broke the nepotism law.
Let's go back to fiscal responsibility.
Fiscal responsibility,
Yes.
okay.
Stay with it.
So anyway, Betty,
Hey, y'all, we're not going to argue here. We're not going to argue back, okay?
Betty?
Let's stay professional.
okay. Well, anyway, Betty had a few things to say. Grace, is she going to come back or not? Again, Ms. Yarder has worked tirelessly in her legal expertise to try to help this community. And they tried to shut her out because they did not want to give legal documents up.
And you know what? Let's stay where we're at. I don't want anybody bashing anybody. Let's not bash Mr. Kendall. He's not here.
Okay.
If you want to mention what happened or whatever, I don't want to talk about him.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
The only thing that I really want everyone to acknowledge and try to deal with as far as suggestions for the commissioners is the fact that when the building is finished next door, and if this project goes forward with regard to the tearing off the wings, is that we will have no courtroom in this county. We won't have this courtroom will not be available, and there is not a courtroom in the new building. So that's something that everyone really needs to understand and acknowledge, because we're going to be looking at having to expend probably another $800,000 to $900,000 to get that multi-purpose room done and a parking lot. Two basic necessities. I think that in the courthouse or the courthouse annex, since it'll be the only thing available, that we would have to have a courtroom and we'd have to have a parking lot. So any suggestions that any of y'all have regarding that need to be addressed too for their input, because that's something that has to be considered. And really, that's probably the only other thing.
That cover most of what we
Yeah.
In closing, Commissioners, liability is one thing that's really going to be hindering y'all. Physical responsibility. Look at all the needs of this county. And we don't have a plan for this courthouse of where we're going. No set dollar figures except an $8.2 million to do the exterior by Fisher and Heck. And the annex was $3.2 million allocated. Roads, and for sure possibly a county jail. And with the influx, we should have some tax reduction too. These are things that I think you have a responsibility to do, not to everyone that claps tonight, but for the many voters, 8,000 voters that are out there. If they start seeing how much money you're going to spend on that, and we have these other needs, Judge Shaw is getting calls all the time about the roads. And Mr. Weatrick can't do it all if he doesn't have extra budgeting. I think that's where we need to put some of it.
Can you use that $617,000 on the jail?
No.
No.
Anyway, I guess that's really all I have to say. Would you like me to,
I have
I mean,
a
I don't, you know,
quick question, if you
Sure.
don't mind.
sure.
And all due respect, please don't get me wrong here. However, you've thrown out a lot of numbers and a lot of, this is what it's gonna cost and this is how much. I'm a facts kind of girl. That's part of
Fisher and
my,
Heck, that $8.2 million was fact.
well, it's not just that. No, I'm not saying it's not fact. I'm just saying, for me, because I do a lot of research, I back everything up with sources. So I have a source and I can say, you can go to this page, this document and find this. One of the things, I mean, you know, Judge Pavelic, we can't hear the tape, and I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong or right. I have no idea.
We really
because
wanted to
I've
hear the
never, because I've never heard it. So
Yeah.
for me, for you to get up and tell me that Judge Pavelic said such and such, I have nothing there that I can go by. As far as the figures, same exact thing. So whenever you're teaching, like I teach faculty and I teach students, and I've taught professors in Oxford, but the same point being is this, is that if I'm going to throw a number out there, I'm going to throw a percentage, I want to know where you got it from. So if you could give that to us, that will help us as a county make a more informed decision.
I don't have all the numbers. No more than when they said it was going to cost $3.2
Right.
million to do the annex.
But see,
and
but
now it's
when-
$6 million.
And I understand that, but when you're getting up and you're speaking about that, to help us know where you got it, if you cite your sources, that's where the difference between fact and propaganda is. So at this point, when I'm listening, I can't determine whether it's fact or propaganda because I don't know. So, you know, I would like to see where you got your sources
Well, what I
from,
said about
so that that will
what I
help me.
I'm not trying to answer you.
Yeah, I'm just
What
saying
I
that
said
would
about
help.
Judge Pavelic came from his own words, and it was going to cost $2.15 million on the tape. I'm sorry we didn't have the tape. We had a
Do they
malfunction.
have like transcripts? Do we have
Like,
transcripts?
Clyde's got it on. He'll play it on the radio for y'all if there's a set time. And I'm sure that.
If not, you can go by.
Maybe Judge Pavelic can come tell us.
If not, you can go by and request a tape because I listen to it.
They can do that, they can give it to us, it's like public
I mean,
record.
it's public information, I don't
Perfect.
Yeah, it's public information. The $8.2 million was from Fisher and Heck directly on what it would take to repair the exterior of this courthouse in '07. So that's not counting the interior. We don't even know what the interior is going to be.
And so then your estimate for 15 million came from?
That's a possibility of